Friends, I'm taking an offer of Jane Crichton from Jamaica to read her poetry. Can't resist that offer. And the poem I'm reading this time is God's Boredom. God was bored and utterly exhausted. It had been a busy week. The firmament, the moon and stars, the sea, the land, the mountains, and the plains, the grass and trees and flowers, the beasts of air and earth and sea, and even man and woman were created. So what now? God asks his ineffable self. I am bored stiff. God had managed just a laugh or two during his week of labor. He had made the boring creatures first, the dogs, the cats, the cattle. Then he'd had fun dreaming up hippopotami and camels, rhinoceri, skunks and turtles, humpback whales, and fleas. But now his work was over. He'd created man in his own image. Nothing more remained to make. "Hold on, my majesty," said God to himself. "You haven't worked out reproduction." So God, almighty prankster as he was, used his invincible imagination and came up with the biggest laugh of all: sexual intercourse for humans. Chuckling with glee, he thought of all the hours of mirth awaiting him, the supreme voyeur. But then a sudden thought struck his vast mind. "They'll never do it. It's quite too silly." Really. It was a great mistake upon my part to make these humans with the necessity to take themselves so seriously. They'll never let themselves be made such fools of. Then God used his quite invincible brain. Sorry, that's incredible. Then God used his quite incredible brain and came up with the answer. "I'll make it feel so good," he told himself, "that they won't care how totally ridiculous they look. They'll hide in darkness, blow the candles out, and then they'll think no one can see them." Little do they know, God chortled on, I need no light to see. And that is why we have this crazy way of reproducing. And God Almighty is no longer bored. He laughs his head off night and day. "That's marvelous," he tells himself eternally. Not even Satan could beat that. Thank you, and thank you so much, Jane Crichton of Jamaica.